This is a follow-up to last week's tutorial where I talk about creating disco mats, also called puzzle mats or multi-mats. It's where you take multiple masks and stick those into the RGB color channels of from your original plate, then you recombine them on the color page as using the EXT mat function. Today, what I'd love to show you is a little bit more advanced way, and that's using EXR sequences that are using the multi-part, it's EXR 2.0 format. And you can do that using Fusion Studio. That's what I have this same image loaded into today, so you can see how this would work. The advantage to doing it this way is that the main plate, the main footage, is always attached to all of the masks that you can bake into and encode into that EXR render. The tool that you use to do that is the external mat saver. So if you load that down into your flow, you basically still extract all your mats like you normally would. So I've got one for the Game Boy, one for the TV, and I've even got a fourth one here for the cart. So you can see this works with, more than 3 layers. This is an advantage over the disco mat method where you only have the 3 color channels to work with. The way I would set this up is I would take the main color output. This normally would be linear, but I'm just leaving it at 709 so you can see it easily, into the main background of external mat generator, and under here you'll see the mats tab of the tool and the inspector. We've got an export one. I just want this one to be the RGB image, and I could just call this one the plate, something like that. And then I will click the plus button. That gives me another input option on it. And let's take this one. This one will be the TV, so that's the output of the bitmap. And once we take a look at this, I only want the alpha from this. I'm just clicking A, and maybe we give this one the label TV. And we just keep going down the list. So this one will be called the Game Boy. So on the external mat saver, you click the plus button, the alpha here. Let's see, actually plug it in. If you right click as you drag to these nodes, it gives you the option of really seeing. So input 3 is now going to be called the Game Boy. And this one here is going to be, I guess it's a Zelda cartridge. So sure, we'll do that. External mat saver, plus icon, A for alpha, right click, drag it down, and it's your input 4. Give that one the name Zelda. And then finally, this last one will be the cart. So external mat saver, plus icon, right click, drag, release, input 5. And this one will be alpha only. Just call that one cart. And now we just need to render this saver out. If you take a look, the one thing you don't get with this tool, unfortunately, you don't get to choose your compression settings for your EXR. It just basically it gives you what it gives you, which I think is probably zip compression. So it'll be lossless, but it'll be kind of large. It won't. You don't have the DWAB compression, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I would just give it a location. Sure, you can give it any location. Then you would just hit render, and it'll render out all those frames. Now let's hop over to Resolve, and I'll show you how that would be loaded back into a timeline. So load your EXRs like any other piece of footage you normally would work with. In Resolve, you can just drag the folder in. You don't have to select the first of an image sequence. So if you just drag the folder, drag it into your media pool, then on the color page to extract these and work with them, I'm going to close clips up so we can have a little bit more space to see, is once you right click on the node here and you come down to add mats, if you take a look here, the mats are all right there. So we've got the RGB image, we've got the TV, we've got the Game Boy Alpha, the Zelda, the cart. So to extract these, you just click on there and you'll see it just drops out the alpha mat for each of these. And in this case, you do want to use that top input, which is the alpha output of this node. Whereas before we're using the red, green, and blue, but this is an actual alpha, so you want to use that. And I would just keep coming along through here, and you can split all these out. So I'm going to right click, I'll say add mats on this one, and this one will be the Game Boy. I'll do one more, I'll right click, say add mat. This one will be the Zelda, and then even a fourth mat was all embedded in this exact same file. So add mats, and that one will be cart. And you can see, if I go to my highlight mode with Shift H, all those mats have come through, and I still have all of that original RGB plate info as well. So if, maybe even Shift S, I get a node beforehand if I wanted to keep those isolated. So Let's make the TV super pink, Game Boy orange. I don't know. This guy blue, and then this one can be green. If I turn my highlight off, you'll see how we've been able to use multiple mattes exported using the external matte saver function and choosing to just export the alphas, on those different inputs that we're going to that node. This doesn't exist on the Fusion page of DaVinci Resolve, so that's why I didn't mention it before. But if you're getting renders from Nuke or from another professional compositor that's using Fusion Studio, which is the bomb, this is how I would do it. Another advantage to this, again, besides the whole idea that you had two files to manage with the Disco Mats method, is that if you're to conform this to a new version, so let's say we're on version 1 and we got a new render from CG and you're on version 2 now, all you have to do is use the conform option and everything will get up versioned on the new render. So you're not having to like relink mats. All these are just going to stick with the footage as they go, and you have nothing else to do. Just make sure you use that top input, which it should automatically already correct. All right, that's it.